Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry, and today I'm going to talk to you about another underrated film that I finally had the pleasure to watch. And it is a film by Neon. It's been out for a while. It's currently available on HBO Max, and I'm talking about MONOS. I believe it's a Colombian picture. Uh, I don't think any of the cast is well known, maybe for exception for one particular actress. I think the actress name is maybe Juliana Nicholson. She's been in Mayor of Easttown, and I've seen that show. That show's pretty good. But back to Manos. Distributed by Neon. It's a story centered on a group of teenage guerrilla militias who still kind of having their child innocence, haven't really matured yet as soldiers, and they're guarding this American journalist. And the film really doesn't really have a central story. It's about these characters and their ability to adapt to military lives. And I think they're in Colombia somewhere. Not in somewhere South America, but I think it's Colombia somewhere. And this is a war drama centered where it was really lack of action, war scenes, but it's more on really these kids adapting. I think what the film is trying to say, and I think it does in a more realistic guerrilla style warfare of young teenagers with well, they have military training in the film, but just how teenagers trying to adapt to military life and suppressing um, their adolescence, because there's quite a few moments in the film where you have these kids that they try to be playful as kids, but they are somewhat being stripped away from that, trying to have a military duty. And there's quite a few incidents where they try to suppress that, and I think it shows into the film, um, where you're forced to really adapt to this responsibility of living a military lifestyle and how cruel it could be. Because there's quite a few moments in the film. I think if I have to say if there is a central character into this film, I would say it is probably the American journalist who is held captive by these um, uh, guerrilla um, soldiers. She's kind of, I would say, somewhat of a central character um, into this movie. And you kind of, I mean, she's kind of in and out, but she's mostly kind of in it where you see her being mocked and taunted by these soldiers and trying to escape. She tries to escape quite a few times and gets captured. And you kind of, I think for the film kind of follows her as she observes these kids in a way. And then the film kind of dives into some of the kids, more into their psyche of suppressing their needs as humans, because there's, people got needs. So there's certain scenes in these movies where they get curious about doing something and they'll try to act out in the moment, and you kind of see psychologically of how damaging that is, where they feel confused, they feel like they cannot fully commit to being a soldier, and you see that in their minds. And some of it is a little bit kind of, it's interesting. It's interesting that this film analyzes the psyche a bit more. I think with most war films today, I think the last war film that I can think of that pops into my mind is probably Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. And it kind of has that vibe a bit, because the film kind of introduces a story element and then it switches to another story element. There's some situations that you're really trying to really understand what the character is thinking, where they feel they get disciplined from failing to follow orders, or they're trying to suppress their deeds, and then they end up breaking loose. It gets really, really intense and unnerving, and to a certain point into the film, the movie relies on that as its story structure. You kind of don't know where the movie is going to go, because the way these characters are kind of developed, it's unpredictable. The cinematography and the way they shot this movie, some of the sets design, is beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, this is an adventure film. There are shots I thought it's probably one of the most gorgeous shots I've seen ever in film. There are some beautiful shots here. I can't stress enough about this movie. I think this is a very entertaining film. I think it might not resonate with most, because you kind of don't know, like I said, where the story is going a bit. But if you be patient and kind of let the movie take you on the ride, it's pretty intense. Manos, have you seen it? Comment below, let me know if you have. I urge you guys to check this out. This movie is severely underrated. Check this movie out and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.